it made this idea of going into agriculture ever dearer to me. So then when I was 18 years old, I had the big luck of meeting an Indian gentleman, a friend of my parents, in Germany. I had just left school and I was looking for an entry into farming. I thought of going to Greece to join a farmer commune, but then this friend of my parents passed by and said, "What are you doing, Mark?" And I told him something. I was very much fighting with my parents at that time, so I was only talking to him and not to my parents. And my parents must have told him that, "Can you do something with this boy?" So over dinner he proposed to me that why don't I take over his farm in Marbleshwa. He had just gone in partnership with someone, and there was a 6-acre plot, and he said, "I need someone who manages it." And I said, "Are you sure? Because I don't know how to manage a farm." Yes, you will do it, don't worry. So I thought overnight about it, and then next morning said, "Okay, I'll come." And this was an incredible chance, and I think now when I think about TIE and entrepreneurship, I think this is actually the most important thing that I learned, and that made me what I am today, is that someone, when I was very young, caught me and gave me a chance. Gave me a wonderful chance, because he knew how to deal with me. I think when he was young, he must have been very much like me, as terrible. So he trusted me, he gave me the facilities that a young guy needs, a jeep and a motorcycle and a nice big house, and then he gave me a big challenge, and we grew flowers on this farm in the most beautiful environment. Most of you will know Marbleshwa, so you know that actually I was in a dream world, and for a whole year I was working there. And this was actually the first hit with reality, because I grew flowers and my customers didn't pay. I had to come to Bombay, which was hell for me, because if you go from Marbleshwa to Bombay, it's like going from heaven to hell. And to then squeeze money out of them was as impossible. Yeah. So then the second thing was that when I had come to start the farm, tomatoes were 22 rupees a kilo, and I don't know whether people, this was in 1979, can remember back in 1979, the tomato price usually was around 1 rupee, 2 rupees, yeah, 2 rupees 30 paisa, and they were 20 rupees. So I thought, oh, that's great, I go into tomatoes, and I grew the best tomatoes available. They were huge, meat, they called them meat tomatoes, nothing to do with meat, but they were just huge. But when I had my tomatoes, all other farmers also had tomatoes, and the price plumped to 20 paisa a kilo. It was not worth plucking the tomatoes. So we had tomato sauce and tomato soup and tomato curry and tomato soup every day, and I pleaded with people to just take my tomatoes, but it was also a heavy lesson. And the same with diseases, the same with malnutrition. You know, in the evenings when I used to come home from the farm, I tried to read books which I had got from Mahatma Phule College over here. I didn't understand the sense. I didn't know what they were talking about. I was lost, and I understood that maybe schools are not as bad as I thought. Yeah. So all this convinced me to go back to university and to start doing it properly. Yeah. It needed that 1-year education in Marbleshwa, but it definitely strengthened my wish and my bond to come to India. So it's not only because of my forefathers, it's also because having been in Marbleshwa and having been in a country where the sun shines and it doesn't rain all the time, and where people are incredibly friendly and open to everything, anything you want to do. People don't tell you, but we have tomato farmers or we have flower farmers and don't try it, it's all already taken. No, people say, oh wonderful, can I have your product, can I try it? I find this attitude in India of welcoming people, of being curious and wanting to find out what are you doing, of allowing people to try out and go ahead. I really love this. And this is very nurturing, and it's not, I think maybe for this reason why the TIE is the biggest chapter in the world, definitely in this sector. And not only because there's billions of Indians. Okay, so the next step then I did was that I applied for university, and I even got in. And but with this university, what comes in Germany is that you have to go and do internships. And the ultimate kick came when I worked with a farmer in Germany who was a who actually put this idea of what we are doing today into my head. He was a short, very stubby fellow, like German farmers look, and he had a very small holding close to to Hamburg. It was next to the river. The soils were impossible because they were so. When you are next to a river, the soils are very heavy and you can't do vegetables on them. But he was growing salads, and he was growing salads on only 20 hectares. This is 40 or 50 acres, which in Germany is nothing. But this gentleman, he was a self-made man, has become the largest farmer in Germany. Yeah. He owns tens of thousands of hectares today. And he's all done it himself. I mean, when I met him, he was still small, but he was already so organized, it was incredible. And I would be very ashamed if he would come to my farm today, see that we do everything so differently to what he taught me. But he showed me that if you get things organized very well, then in vegetable production, you can turn out a lot of crop. You can, especially if you are close to a town, and you can deliver freshly, and you can have the infrastructure in place, and you have the cool vans and the cold storage, then you are in a position that you can grow, that agriculture can become a profitable business. So I did this for a while, and while I was studying, and especially after that when I started my PhD, I came back to India and started experimental farms over here, together with the same gentleman who had brought me here to India a couple of years before, because the idea was to go into business with him. He's an agriculturist, and he loves farms. He's also doing other businesses, but he was happy to start farming then with me. And because I did IT in agriculture, I studied IT in agriculture, I specialized on economics, and what I did was to try and see whether the numbers match somewhere, whether a red or a black figure would remain in the bottom. And for this I also did experiments, and after all this, I took the painful decision to say, I won't be able to make it work. Because I am not from the field, I do not inherit the farm, I don't get it for free, I don't have 22 children or family members who help, who work for me for nothing on the farm. So I said, no, this can't be it. I have to go somewhere else. I have to earn money and then come back. And that is when
you got into the IT business.
Yes, yes.
So, in the interest of time, since we're running out of time, can we just quickly go through the IT business and then come back to some learnings from what you've learned?
Okay, the IT business was very, very nice. It was very easy, without money, without anything. You can, as a one-eyed amongst blind, you can overcharge people and they're willing to pay you. At least it used to be like that. Definitely not anymore today. Chetan knows best how difficult it has become because it is more mature. But when I started IT, it was in the infantile stage. So I learned programming on a beach in Goa, to be honest. But that's also why my programming is not very good. And I was smart enough to realize that I should come for programming to India. So very early in the 96 or 97, we three partners who had founded the IT company in Germany decided to let me go to India to do the programming. And as a small shop we started, and my very first employee sitting here he's Anil. He's still with us. He was the person who welcomed me over here and in whose house we started the company. Yeah, he said, oh, I have a free room, so why don't you use this? And he didn't know that he would have me then for 20 hours a day. With my wife Benedict going to sleep under the table. So Anil and I, and later also his wife Josna, we started the IT company over here and made it nice and big, and sold it 12 years later to a large Finnish concern for a lot of money. And this money now we are spending in agriculture. But yes, what is the name? Sorry?
What is the name of the company?
What was the name of the company?
The name of the company was ITV India. It was just, we had an ITV, it stands for Information Technology Consultancy in Germany, and the German partner, we sold all the operations, we had also companies in Holland and US, and it had to do with medical systems, very, very different from what I'm doing today. We used to sell a single system for 500,000 euros, today I sell it for 50 rupees. But it was I would say besides the monetary part, which was very rewarding, this company has